These are the ultimate animals.
Listen carefully. It may not sound like much, but what this orangutan named Tilda is doing is something scientists have never observed in another ape. Something they thought was impossible. For the first time ever, this orangutan is moving her lips to mimic human speech. Scientific analysis has shown that Tilda is delivering these strange sounds at a rate 7 times faster than any other orangutan call ever recorded, and at a rhythm almost identical to human speech. So are orangutans becoming more human? The word orangutan does mean people of the forest. To find out why, we're looking into all the amazing ways they may have earned that name. Starting with this. These people of the forest may have taught actual people how to make medicine. It all starts with the orangutan's ability to masterfully manipulate its environment.
One of the traditional ways that people marked intelligence was through tool use. There was a period when we pronounced that humans were the only species that used tools, and it turns out that is not true either. There are now hundreds of species that make and use tools. Where orangutans fit in that package is right up at the top.
They'll make ropes to swing from trees, hooks to pull things closer, and they'll even use leaves to make themselves umbrellas or rain hats. It might not sound like much to us, but almost no other animal in the wild does anything that even comes close. Still, these achievements may pale in comparison to the orangutan's ability to make and use medicine. Like us, they get aches and pains after a hard day's work. So some of them chew a plant known to have anti-inflammatory properties into a paste, then rub it into their sore muscles. It is the first known example of a great ape using medicine in this way. And that red hair keeps orangutans alive, allowing them to virtually vanish into thin air.
You can play hide and seek with an orangutan if you like, but you're going to lose. I can be following an orangutan and no more than maybe 2 yards away, and they are in complete view. You're looking right at them, and within a second, they vanish right in front of your eyes. And there's no sign, and they are just plain gone.
It's a good skill to have in a jungle full of orang-eating tigers. But how does a big orange ape disappear in a jungle of green? It has everything to do with how sunlight penetrates the forest canopy. Here's how it works. As the light makes its way down to the forest floor, it passes through vegetation, which absorbs red, violet, and orange light for photosynthesis. By the time the sun's rays hit any orangutans below, they've been robbed of their oranges and reds, making the orangutans appear a dull brown.
So when you see orangutans in the middle of the forest, they come out looking like just a dead log. I personally have almost tripped over orangutans. You don't see the reds at all.
They look slow, and a lot of the time they are slow. But make no mistake, orangutan brains are moving a mile a minute. According to some studies, they are the most intelligent of all the non-human primates.
I love you.
Smarter than our closest cousin, the chimp. Their brains are so advanced, they can even see into the future. The orangutan's power of forethought may rival any other animal alive.
One of the ideas that we've had for a long time about non-human species is they live in the here and now. They can't see in advance, so they're pushed and pulled by the events that happen to them right now. Well, there's fairly good evidence now on orangutans that they can plan things up to a day or so in advance. I think they probably do it longer than that.
In that way, they really can see into the future. And these forest people can use that advanced thinking to outwit us. Take a look at this rare footage of a human-orangutan interaction.
What you're seeing here is an adult female orangutan. Her name is Onyuk. She's watching one of the local field assistants that works with the orangutans using a new Swiss Army knife to saw a small stick into short pieces.
Onyuk watches fascinated and even tries to imitate the field worker using two sticks.
You get the sense that you can see her own puzzlement and her own working through how to understand this unusual thing that she's looking at.
Later, the assistant tries to cut some of Onyuk's hair with the scissors. But the knife makes her nervous. Until something changes.
It looks like she's not interested anymore. I was filming at the time, and I remember just being puzzled that it looked like she wasn't there anymore. She'd been so engaged, and all of a sudden she wasn't.
Onyuk's gaze is now firmly fixed on something behind the assistant, something she wants. His backpack. Suddenly, instead of being nervous of the knife, she actively solicits the assistant to cut her hair.
So she holds her arm out to him and makes it easy for him. And when he quits, she grabs the hair on her own head and leads in to invite him to continue doing it.
And then, with the assistant distracted, it happens.
She makes a grab and gets the backpacks.
So Onyuk saw something she wanted, formulated an advanced plan of how to get it, then manipulated the assistant in order to achieve her goal.
So for a species that you think of as very slow, not all the time.
They've earned the nickname People of the Forest. But in some ways, orangutans may really be more than people. Because while we can only do so many things at one time, they have 5 hands. Unlike any other ape, orangutans spend 90 to 95% of their time high up in the treetops. So to stay safe, they need a lot of hands to hold them up. First, there are the actual hands, strong and nearly twice as long as our own. And then, there are the orangutan's feet, which can grip just like a hand. But as it turns out, 4 hands is still not enough.
In fact, they have 5 hands because they have their 2 hands and their 2 feet. But the most precise manipulator is their mouth. Their hands and their feet are occupied holding them up in the trees, so what else are you going to use?
It's so dexterous, it can perfectly peel fruit, or even tie things in a knot. In essence, a 5th hand. If you're an orangutan, getting food isn't as simple as a quick drive to the supermarket. For humans, finding where to shop is as easy as doing a search on our mobile devices. But it wasn't always that way. We used to be built like the forest people of today, with brains like a smartphone.
When you actually look very carefully at what it takes to live the way they do, it's a huge job to manage to have a balanced diet. So they have to have a shopping list of, in any month, maybe 30 or 40, maybe even 50 different species of foods that they feed on, and they have to know where to shop for every one of those.
Once an orangutan identifies a food source, it gets mentally geotagged so they can keep coming back. And it's not just about knowing where to find fruit.
And they have to know something about the season. It wouldn't make any sense for me to go out and try and go and pick apples in the middle of December I gotta know it's September or August, so they need the same kind of knowledge.
Orangutans are one of the most critically endangered apes. As of early 2015, there were believed to be just 40,000 remaining in the wild, down 20,000 from the previous decade. So maybe it would help if instead of looking at how orangutans are more or less like us, we started looking at them as equals. Believe it or not, one country already has. Meet Sandra, the world's first orangutan with human rights. She was once a mainstay at the Buenos Aires Zoo. But in a 2014 landmark ruling, a judge determined that Sandra was too smart to be treated as an object and was being unlawfully deprived of her freedom. She was ordered released and is now legally classified as a non-human person. This ruling could have wide-reaching implications for captive apes everywhere. Thanks to Sandra, one day, we might be calling these people of the forest just people.